Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Marilyn Darling Show, and welcome to another episode of an ink review. Today, we are looking at a grayish-black ink from DeAtramentis Graphite Black. Thanks go out to the OC Pen Club for providing the sample for this review. Today, we'll be looking at this here blackish, grayish ink. Alright. Well, before we start, we're going to share this with our friends so that they can come and hang out with us too. Alright. I was just given a package from my dear friend Camilla of a huge bag full of treats. Oh my gosh. I am just completely overwhelmed right now with gratitude. Like, you guys don't even know. I'm just so overwhelmed. We're gonna go through that later on today, so stay tuned for that. Alright. We are all shared out, hopefully. That will get out to people, and then they can come and hang out with us. Alright, so here we go. Let's look at today's ink. This is a blackish graphite black ink. It does have some like grayish properties. Today's pen, what are we using? The orange, okay. Today's pen, we'll be using the Fountain Pen Revolution Himalaya version 2 with an Ultra Flex nib. One of my favorite pens, this orange one. Oh my god, just look at those beautiful swirls with the black swirls in there too. It's just completely amazing. I'm overwhelmed. Okay, let's look at this ink. Here's our ink swatch. And water resistance test shows it does have a little bit of water resistance, which is always nice. I might consider using this on the outside of an envelope. Here is our ink swatch and water resistance, and our ink painting. Sorry, I tried to make it look kind of like whatchamacallit. What's that place in Alexa, stop. Niagara Falls. I tried to make it look like Alexa, stop. I tried to make it look like Niagara Falls. Cute, right? And here is our toilet paper chromatography. All I see is gray. I don't see any funny colors coming out. So, that's great. Move this bag over here. Oh my goodness. There's like all kinds of stuff. I haven't even looked at it yet. I had to deal with a work thing right as soon as I got in. Anyway, we will look at those in a little bit. Alright, let's take a look at some paper review. This is the Pen and Gear Memo book from Walmart.com. No feathering, no bleeding, barely any ghosting. This is lightweight traveler's note. No, you're going to see on all of these samples, it says blue-black. I really mean graphite. So what I need to do is I need to write in graphite. Because I had a full-on dumbass attack. I grabbed the wrong pen. So this is actually graphite black, and tomorrow's ink will be blue-black. How's that? Sorry. Alright, no feathering, no bleeding, no ghosting. This is super lightweight traveler's notebook paper. It does look like it's trying to spread into the page, but can't really tell because it's such thin paper. Alright. This is Moleskin 70 GSM. Feather like a chicken, bled to the page. This is Field Notes Journal. A little bit of spread. A little bit of bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. And we can actually see how it looks compared to real graphite. Oh, I'm so hungry. Okay. No feathering, no bleeding, no ghosting. Did I mention this is Fabriano Eco Qua 85 GSM? No feathering, no bleeding, no ghosting. Alright. This is Ayush 100 GSM paper. No feathering, no bleeding, no ghosting. This is Leuchtturm. Hi, Obs, how are ya? I'm doing well, thank you. Just got a treat bag from my friend Camilla. It was like 50 pounds worth of stuff. I'm like, I don't even know what's in there. All I saw was the card, and I almost started crying. I'm probably all puffy. So I do apologize if you can see my puffy face. I got all choked up. No feathering. No bleeding, barely any ghosting. Just thinking about it, I'm just so grateful. Okay, this is Midori MD paper. No feathering, no bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. 52 GSM, Tomoe River. No feathering, no bleeding, barely any ghosting. Oh, I need a sandwich. Okay. This is the journal from the Dollar Tree. No feathering, no bleeding, no ghosting. Just 1 second, I'm going to take a big gulp of water because my tummy is telling me I'm hungry and I'm not hungry. Alright, we have a new addition to the family. This is Cosmo Air Light 75 GSM. No feathering. No bleeding, barely any ghosting. Doing a look at the back of this notebook. This is from Pen Friend, and this is from Amy Alphabet. I need to put that on here. So I don't forget. So there's all of these inks on here. Okay. Some being really nice, wet inks. And there's no bleed through. No bleed through. Look at that. Wow. Super nice. Okay. Cosmo Airlight. No feathering, no bleeding, barely any ghosting. Very nice. This is Marmon Namasani 80 GSM Dock Red. Ooh, it is feathering into the page. Little bit of bleed through and only a little bit of ghosting. This is Oxford Optic Paper. Yeah, she is. A tiny little bit of feathering and a little bit of bleeding and a little bit of ghosting. You guys, I have some of the best friends. I'm so grateful. I get overwhelmed sometimes, and when I'm having a really bad day, like today was a pretty bad day. I can't talk about it because things happened, but when you're having a really bad day, you just need to think about your friends and about how bad it could truly be. And you have to remember that there are going to be good times, and to just try and concentrate on the good times. Clairefontaine, 90 GSM. Little bits of feathering. Little bit of ghosting. I am not having a rough day. Other people are having a rough day, and it is affecting me. And, I don't like to see people in pain. It's one reason I went into medicine. And, when they're in pain, and there's not much I can do about it, it hurts. This is the Lamy booklet. 90 GSM. I do see tiny bits. I can't tell if it's feathering. I don't really see any feathering here. No bleeding. Barely any ghosting. Exceed 100 GSM. Heavyweight paper from Walmart.com. Aww. Now I'm gonna cry again. I'm fine. Okay. I don't really see hardly any feathering. Little tiny bits of bleed through, a little bit of ghosting. Thank you. Thank you. Up and Up. Wide roll composition book from Target.com. No feathering, no bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. True Red composition book from Staples.com. Lots of feathering, a little bit of bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. Apica, 81.4 GSM. Weirdest GSM I ever heard. 81.4. Who does that? Round up or down, but don't like weird, right? I feel kind of stupid, but what exactly does feathering versus ghosting? Okay, so just let me finish the paper reviews and then I'll show you, okay? No feathering, no bleeding, no ghosting. So, this is a perfect example. This paper will have a little bit of ghosting, which means that you can see the letters through the page, right? You can see it. But feathering is these little bits that are coming off. They kind of look like a fluffy chicken. You ever seen one of those soft looking chickens? Yeah, that's what that looks like. See, some are not so spiky, and some are not spiky hardly at all. And then this one, you can tell that there's barely any spiking, but you could look and see this like speckled. You can see that it's kind of like there's different colors. It's like that Rorschach test. Will they do the different colors to see if you're colorblind or not? This is feathering. It's called feathering. Where is it? Have I done it yet? No. Okay, so the other great example. Okay, so we're almost there. So this is very thin. This is 68 GSM, really high quality paper, Tomoe River. No feathering, and there's a little bit of ghosting, but no bleed through. You don't see it through to the other side. And then this is a Rhodia dot pad, 80 GSM, which is slightly heavier. It doesn't mean that it's more quality. It's 80 GSM versus 68 GSM, but you can still see, where is it? See, there's some of them that do tend to have little bits of fuzzle coming off of them. There's a fuzzly one, see? That's feathering. See, these other ones, they have no little feathers coming off of them. And you can tell this one's not soaking into the paper, so there's no speckling. But when you look at the other side, this is bleed through. There's little tiny bits that where you stop the pen, you can tell where it's bled through. And you see that's like a very it's almost bleed through, but it's not. It's trying to. And then you can see this one is just ghosting. Little bit of bleed through, little bit of bleed through. Today's is up here. So, and I have to be careful because there's little tiny dots in the page. You see the dot grid. And I might have thought that that little tiny bit right there was a feather, but I can see it's a dot and not a feather. So I have to be very careful when it comes to dot grids. See, right there's a little tiny feather that's not a dot grid. So they might have just a little tiny feather. And then there's no bleed through, but a little bit of ghosting. And see, other ones do bleed through. So there's barely any feathering, and no bleeding, and only a little bit of ghosting. I hope that helps. Okay, this is Artist Loft 100 GSM. This is even more heavier paper than the other one, and sometimes it doesn't matter how heavy the paper is, but the way that the paper is made, sometimes, like this is toilet paper. It's the thinnest paper. And this is probably more heavier weight per gram than, say, some of the Tomoe River, maybe even. So it just depends on how they make the paper. See, this one has a little bit of feathering on the B, and a little feather on the A, and then a couple little feathers on the K. So it does have a little bit of feathering, but not quite as bad as that one, or that one, or that one. That one's a real fuzzy chicken. So, and there's minimal amount of bleeding, little tiny bits of bleeding, but minimal bleeding, minimal ghosting. And some of them, they bleed through a lot. Like this one bled through a lot, and this one bled through a lot. You can tell which ones are really bad Like, don't use this on your paper like this one. This was starfruit. Probably wouldn't use that in a broad nib on Rhodia dot pad. Now, there are instances where you want feathering, and I will show those to you in just a minute. So, there is no feathering, no bleeding, barely any ghosting with this one. Or no ghosting. This is Buffet handmade paper from Italy. And if we look very closely, see those little feathers? That's real feathering. Little tiny feathers coming right off of it. See the cute little feathers? They feather like a chicken. Oh, that Burleywood's definitely a feathery chicken. Some barely don't even feather at all. George hardly feathered at all. A slight snow feather like a chicken. Let's see, what about today's ink? See, there is a little bit of feathering. And then if we open the page, there is no bleed through on any of these. See, so even though it feathers, it didn't bleed through. So it just, however they make the paper, sometimes it's magical. You can put down a whole bunch of ink and it feathers on one side of the page, but it doesn't bleed through. I don't know how they do it. It's magic. Anyway, no feathering, a little bit of feathering, and no bleed through, and only a minimal amount of ghosting. Crazy, right? Okay. U-Style notebook paper. Oi. A little bit of feathering. A couple little bleedy spots. Minimal amount of bleeding, and only a little bit of ghosting. Sheffield Home Paper Goods. Oi. A little bit of feathery. A little bit of bleedy. A little bit of ghosting. Minimal ghosting. Mostly bleedy. CVS Caliber notebook paper. Now this is some really good stuff. If we look at it, you will see that almost none of these, that is not feathering, that's my pen. You will see that none of these feather on this paper. None. Oh, maybe that one. But hardly any of these feathered. Violet Silver is like the only exception. So, no feathering. No bleeding. Wait, where am I? I have to hold it up to the light to be able to see through. And only a minimal amount of see-through. A little bit of ghosting. Ghosting, see-through are kind of interchangeable. Oxford notebook paper. See, this one doesn't have any feathering either. No bleeding, barely any ghosting. This is this is a really bad paper. Naughty. Almost everything feathers on this. A little bit of feathering there, and there, and there. Ooh, that one didn't. Starfruit was really bad. Allegheny River. And sometimes they start into a line and then they spread into the paper really bad. So let's see. Let's look at this one. A little bit of feathering, a little bit of bleeding, a little bit of ghosting, and almost everything bleeds through this paper. So if you're thinking thoughts about using fountain pen ink on Mead wide ruled notebook paper, probably not the one. Okay. This is 5-star notebook paper. It is also made by Mead, but this one is a little different. This one has quote unquote ink resistance. bleed-through resistance. Let me see, what do they call it? It's called something. This says College Rule 5-star high quality paper. Oh, wait, you can't see. High quality paper. Resist ink bleed. Reinforced storage, blah blah blah, water resistant. Made in USA, blah blah blah. Whatever. Ink resistant, that's what it says. But we will see that it's not resistant to fountain pen ink. Resistant my foot. Let's just take a look. A little bit of feathering there, and there, and there, and there. See, so like... Oi! Good Lord! See, look at that. Oh my God. It just... Yeah, no. This one is not the one either, if you're using fountain pen ink. Okay, let's look at today's. Today's is this one. And it is feathering like a chicken. And it's trying to bleed through the page, and it has a minimal amount of ghosting. Okay, this is speckled paper. Crap, I can't remember who sent me this, but I wish I knew what the name of this paper was. I remember seeing something like this in Hobby Lobby years ago when I used to go there. They had this entire wall of like these slots, and they had different papers in each of the slots. And it's made for like specialty cards or something. It's very, very good paper so far. No feathering, no bleeding, no ghosting. That's not today's. This is today's. Okay, HP Premium 32-pound copy paper. Oh, a tiny bit of feathering. No bleeding. A little bit of bleeding, but minimal amount of bleeding. A little bit of ghosting. Akabe cross-section pad. Minimal amount of feathering. Little bit of bleeding. Little bit of ghosting. It says JNB copper plate graph pad from wait, where am I? Okay, there I am. JNB copper plate graph pad from JohnNeilBooks.com. Oh my God. Look at all that feathering. Oi. Feather like a chicken. Bled through the page. Original Crown Mill 100 GSM paper. Tiny bit of feathering. No bleed through and a minimal amount of ghosting. Okay. Let's do a comparison panel. Oh, I need to get rid of that plate. It's been there for 100 years. Okay. I think this one might lean black. It's called Graphite. Graphite black, and I'm not sure if it's black or not. I think it might lean more gray than black, but we're gonna see. I think that this will be a very short comparison because I don't have very many black inks. Alright, this is DeAtramentis Graphite Black next to DeAtramentis Black Roses. These are similar, but this one's more black. Platinum Black, this one's more gray. Bakersfield Food Color Black. Nebula Space Kitty is more green. Troublemaker Polar Lights has greenish teal shimmer. Wearing gold shooting at the moon. Pilot Erosuzuku Takesumi. Mayora Neora Vesuvio. This one's close-ish. Robert Oster Schwartz Rose has rose gold shimmer. Diamond Matthew. Freedom of the Starry Skies. MMD Starry Night. Andoryllium Common Loon Black. Private Reserve Velvet Black. Pelican Edelstein Onyx. Twisby Black. Krishna Black. You gotta see that. I think that this one looks most like it. Malta Verde Onyx. Pilot Black. Lamy Black. DeAtramentis Archive Black. DeAtramentis Document Black. Noodler's Borealis Black. Noodler's Polar Black. Ackerman Deep Duinwater Blau. Diamond Solar Storm. Private Reserve Ebony Purple. Diamond Deck the Halls. Diamond Winter Miracle. Noodler's Brexit is purple. Papier Plume Bootlegger Scarlet Letters, kind of a deep purple. Birmingham Cast Iron. Tacha Yukio Series Ao Murasaki. Diamond Seize the Night. Robert Oster Black Violet. Jinhao Black. Parker Quink Black. Oh, shoot, man. Noodler's X-Feather. Platinum Carbon Black, and DeAtramentis George Washington. See, none of these really look like this color. So, we're going to look at another ink. We're going to see if gray is more of this color. Alright, this is Graphite Black next to Pen BBS 346. No. 270. No. Pilot Erosuzuku Kirisame. Colorverse Alpha and Diamond Earl Grey. This is more purpley blue. Tasha Yukio Inezu. This is lighter. Jazz Hands Gray. This one's kind of close. Lexington Gray. Ash. Pencil Lead. Australian Opal Gray. It's a little light. Armada 1944. Cool Gray. Dark Gray. Moon Dust. Shoebill Stork Gray. Tempest. Twilight. Under the Shade. Velvet Storm. Califolio Oliphant. Vert Degree. Carter Vintage Black. Pilot Erosuzuku Fuyu Shogun. Birmingham Sterling Silver. Diamond Ghost. And Troublemaker Moon River. Wow, I didn't really see any of these inks that look like this. This is kind of a right smack dab in between black and gray, I think. That's kind of crazy. Well, what did you guys think of today's ink? Are you guys looking for a great ink? Do you have this ink? Let me know what you guys think of this ink in the comment section below. That is all I have for right now. I will be back in just a few minutes with an unboxing video. So, that's all I've got for today. I want to thank you all for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed this one. I hope that you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media. Like, comment, subscribe. ring the little bell. Make sure it's set to all, so when I upload new content, YouTube notifies you, and I will be back very soon with another video. So, take care until then. Okay, love you, bye. Have a great day.